Please put your hands together for Mr. Akshat Khandelwal.
It is incredible that we are able to hold such meetings of mind with such regularity, and credit must go to Assocham for that. I would also like to thank the Honourable Minister, Shri Prahlad Singh Patel, for gracing us with his presence. I hope everyone else here, including myself, makes this worth your while. My name is Akshat Khandelwal. I am the founder and CEO of Nuflower Foods, and my company specializes in the manufacturing of ready-to-eat therapeutic foods and supplements for famine relief and severe acute malnutrition. We also manufacture all sorts of nut butters that includes peanut butter, cashew, almond butter, and the like. I'm here to talk about plant-based diets to you today and how they help in curbing malnutrition. But before that, I need to make a confession. I'm not a vegan. In fact, I'm not even a vegetarian. I'm an avid consumer of meats and dairy, although I would say that I do eat vegetables and legumes for their protein and fiber all the time. But if I do not personally subscribe to veganism, then why am I here today talking about this topic? The reason is very simple. The reason is that I believe that partial or full plant-based diets are the only way to sustainably fix India's nutrition emergencies. Please allow me to explain. Now let's, for a moment, consider the nutrition scenario of India. At one end of the spectrum, if the National Family Health Survey 5 is to be believed, India's poor continue to be undernourished. We have about a third of our children under the age of 5 that are categorized as malnourished. Almost 10% of them are considered severely wasted or severely acute malnourished. And that, I must remind everyone here, is serious because SAM is life-threatening. At the other end of the spectrum, the urban populations, the middle classes, they are plagued with the trifecta of metabolic disorders: diabetes, obesity, cardiovascular problems. India today has 70 million diabetics, and more than 30% of our adults in urban areas are overweight or obese. And most experts would tell you and would agree that cardiovascular problems account for about a quarter of all deaths that occur in India. In other words, we have a population that is not quite very healthy as of today, although I'm sure we will go towards it. But the growing forces of sedentary lifestyle, sugar in everything that we see and eat, and rapid urbanization are probably likely to make the situation a lot worse. So how can plant-based diets help us? Now, we know plant-based ingredients such as wheat, rice, barley, and other staples are routinely used as the key source of carbohydrates and calories. That is something that we are all aware. They are staples for a reason. But many plant-based ingredients also prove to be excellent sources of protein, fiber, and healthy fats, and that is where the real opportunity lies. So I'm going to look at two categories per se. The first is oilseeds, and the second is legumes. Legumes, pulses, and so on and so forth. So most oilseeds, especially peanuts, but also almonds and cashews, have more than 25% of the caloric intake as proteins. In the case of pulses, the protein level relaxes to about 20% of the total calories. Groundnuts and pulses also prove to have very healthy fats and high fiber. Usually more than half of the calories come from healthy fats, and fiber constitutes to about 10% of the total grammage. Now, such a combination of high protein, high fiber, and high fat makes these foods low in their glycemic index. This, in turn, is of immense importance to those who have diabetes and obesity and are facing weight gain issues, especially since we know today that the development of insulin resistance, which is what causes diabetes, is caused by foods with very high glycemic index. In other words, foods that are high in sugar and carbohydrates. Now, having established the benefits of various plant-based ingredients and plant-based foods, I would highlight the opportunity here for everyone today is an economic one. Allow me to please illustrate. Now, a kilo of chicken, if you go to the market, would cost you around 250 rupees a kg. And it only goes up from there when you deal with mutton or lamb, other meats. Plant-based ingredients, on the other hand, tend to be at less than 50% of the cost of the cheapest meats out there. Raw peanuts, for example, would never cost you more than 100 rupees a kilo, and many times a lot less. Soya, pulses, and many other sources of plant-based proteins would usually be priced at less than 80 rupees. Therefore, for the food industry and the government, plant-based diets and plant-based ingredients and foods become a byword for sustainability, especially when it comes to the designing of nutritional solutions to treat various issues of malnutrition in our country. Plant-based ingredients will be cheaper, they'll be easier to source, they'll be easier to scale. The proteins and the useful fats of soya, peanuts, flaxseed, and the rest will help build the undernourished body. And the general low glycemic index nature of these ingredients will serve those who have diabetes and weight gain issues. And it is precisely this opportunity that we have tried to leverage at Nuflower, which is the company that I founded 6 years back. At Nuflower, we work with plant-based ingredients such as peanuts, but also soya flour, canola oil, flaxseed oil, to develop ready-to-eat functional foods for the very undernourished and those who need famine relief. Besides milk, the bedrock of our source of fats and proteins remains a base such as peanuts, but also other legumes and nuts, but mostly peanuts. And that is what allows us to price this at a rate that makes it work for the world's poorest. Now, at less than the price of 28 rupees per 100 grams, we are able to provide 530 calories, 14 grams of protein, and 33 grams of fat. Please, I would urge anyone, challenge anyone in the audience to tell me where you can get such rich diet at such low cost. Our future business strategy also, which focuses on building nutritional solutions for the trifecta of metabolic disorders that I've spoken about, seeks to have plant-based ingredients as the main basis. We plan to focus on making pulses along with oil seeds such as chickpea, almond, cashew as the fulcrum of our next ready-to-eat recipes. So now what I've spoken about, I think it barely begins to scratch the surface of the potential of plant-based ingredients and diets. And I think a lot was also said by many of the members sitting on this dais. But I hope I've laid a firm foundation for the discussion that can ensue over the course of the day. And once again, I would like to thank Assocham. It's a real pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.